We've had the opportunity to go on about 100 international training trips to almost 40 countries. And there have been some pretty amazing experiences. And as you can imagine, we've made a good number of mistakes along the way. We hope that you'll be able to learn from our mistakes as you travel and serve in the name of Jesus. This was my very first international trip. I was in my early 40s and I had never even been on a typical Mexico missions trip as a young person. And now I was in Argentina doing my first children's ministry training. And since I only took a few years of high school French, I had to teach myself a bit of Spanish before I traveled. It was pretty bad. My host family was a local pastor, his wife and children, along with the grandparents who lived with them. Each day around the kitchen table, we struggled through basic Spanish communication with lots of laughs and pantomime and a good dictionary and a lot of patience. On the last night in their home, with the entire family gathered around, I presented some thank you gifts and made a little appreciation speech in my preschool Spanish. The mom in the family, she had done so much to help us, and I was very grateful for all of her hard work. And as I presented a gift to her with all of her family around, it was a special moment. Everyone was smiling and silent, respectfully listening to everything this American pastor was saying. Trying to honor her in front of everyone gathered, I said in my best Spanish, "Thank you for much work. Thank you for allowing me into your home." The respectful silence was suddenly broken as everyone burst into laughter, pointing at me and then to the mom and then back at me. She was very embarrassed. She was covering her face and she didn't know really what to do, so she just laughed along with everyone else. I was obviously not expecting that reaction to such a beautiful sentiment. And as I played back what I had just said, "Thank you for allowing me into your home," it struck me that the word for home is casa, but I had used the word cama, which is bed. And so in front of everyone, I had thanked this godly woman for allowing me into her bed. Waving my arms and shouting the correction, I tried to make it very clear that I had made a mistake. They were very understanding and they had a great time laughing about it together, and it will be a fun memory for really all of us. You know, there are a couple things to learn here. First, learn some language before you go. It shows that you respect them and you put a high value on actually communicating with them. There are about 50 to 75 words or simple phrases that I try to learn in the local language before I travel. Then I keep a cheat sheet with all the words written phonetically so I can say them correctly. And during the trip, I review it multiple times each day. I also add to that list the new words that I'm learning along the way so that I'll remember them. When you stop and you write down a new word, it clearly demonstrates that you're trying to learn their language. Secondly, don't be afraid to make some mistakes. For sure, you are going to mispronounce some words or use a totally wrong word, but at least you're trying. I've seen people be so afraid to make a mistake that they won't even try to speak the language. And sadly, that comes across very poorly to your hosts. We try to stress that communication is more important than correctness. Remember, the translator is not always going to be around, and they're going to need a break from time to time. So be ready to speak a little. If you've ever spent time with a foreign exchange student living in the U.S., you know how fun it is to talk with them. Not every word is perfect. The mistakes are cute and even fun, but they're trying and they're learning, and we appreciate that. So let's do the same when we're there. In Colossians 4:6, it says, "Let your conversation be always full of grace, seasoned with salt, so that you may know how to answer everyone." This verse uses the word conversation, and it reminds us that it's two-way communication. We need to be ready to communicate in basic conversation. And then it also says to know how to answer everyone, as an encouragement for us to practice and get good at communicating in the language of the hearer. It doesn't do much good if I keep saying the truth in a language that the other person doesn't understand. So even when you're using a translator, you're really adding detail and clarity to what you've already been communicating with your simple language skills. Here are a couple things to think about. What are some of the reasons why someone would not feel comfortable using the local language? Make a list of as many benefits as you can think of for trying to speak at least a little in the local language. We hope that you'll keep on learning from our mistakes and keep on traveling, taking the good news with you wherever you go.